All right, welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schiller, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much. Just checking our money here to see how things are going, because we're going to talk about this later on my show today. But why don't we talk about what we've got going on at 1 Central, 2 Eastern. That's going to be the Cow Guy close. That's going to come up every day at that time. We're lucky to have you watch us if you are there, but that's 1 Central, 2 Eastern. We've got a lot to talk about as far as what's going on. The stories keep on coming. They almost write themselves. They're so good. But appreciate you showing up. Again, that's 1 Central, 2 Eastern, the Cow Guy close, and that's going to be, just over 16 minutes from right now. So let's bring up our next board and see what we've got going on. Let's talk about corn. That's part of your money too, right? That's down 4.5 cents in March to 472.5, and that's a penny off the lows of the day. It's been trading weak all day long, around about a nickel lower, so we've come back a couple, 2-3 ticks. 4.25 cents lower in the May to 485.25. That's corn trading weak. Beans are trading weak too. They also are lower, 13.5 cents lower in the Jan to 13.5, while March is off 16 cents to 13.24 even. How about wheat? What's going on in the wheat in Chicago market? That's up here. We've got a good wheat board today, 7 cents higher in Chicago. March trades at 6.24, and that's just a tick off the high of the day there. Let's go from Chicago to Kansas City to get to the hard red. That's up 14 cents in that March contract. 6.41 is last there, just a penny off the highs we've had. I don't know, what do we have, about a 19-cent range, almost 20-cent range over there. So let's move over and see what we've got going on. In the spring wheat from Kansas City, we go to Minneapolis, and that's up 5.75 cents, and that's March. 7.27 is last there. And that's about, only about 4 cents off the high of the day, but still 5.75 cents higher. Spring wheat, that's the March, 7.27. Let's get to the cotton and see what that's got for us. A 39-point gain, 79.49's last. That's 39 points higher. That's March cotton, 79.49. Let's bring in our next guest analyst. That's going to be Ted Seifried from Zaner Ag Hedge. Ted, thanks for being on the show. All right, what are your thoughts here, brother?
Yeah, Scott, you got to say this is kind of a disappointing day, right? We had a little bit of strength across the board on Monday, which was nice to see, but the follow-through has not been there today. And you've got March beans, for example, testing the 200-day moving average for the fourth day in a row, not having much of a bounce off of it. This isn't a really good look from a technical perspective, especially as this is the time of year where we've all been expecting, or a lot of analysts have been expecting, the seasonal rally higher into the end of the calendar year. Man, we're running out of time for that. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. And then for corn, where we had this potential inverted head and shoulders of long-term bottoming formation. We've really kind of taken that second shoulder out here today, and without any significant bounce in the next few minutes, really, it doesn't look good on the chart either. So price action's weak. Yes, we have a lot of friendly things from a weather standpoint in Brazil, but the price action doesn't seem to want to respond to it, at least not right now. And you kind of thought that this was the time frame where you have your big fund traders maybe away, that the small specs could kind of take the ball and run with it. And you figured that would maybe be to the upside. It's just not happened, Scott, and that's got to be really disappointing.
How about in corn? How much do you give any credence to the two rail corridors that are shut?
Yeah, so I mean that's a big problem, right? I mean, Panama Canal has been a problem. Now we've got a problem with the Suez Canal. So logistically speaking, it's just becoming harder and more expensive to get corn really anywhere. That being said, look at the Pacific Northwest. That's the one that it's time to shine. For those of you up in North Dakota, South Dakota, along the rail, that should be good news for your basis. So that's, the light at the end of the tunnel, I suppose. But yeah, no, that it does really hurt that we can't get that logistical problem solved. And it does leave South America in a much better position than us.
Right. And so wheat, what are your feelings about that wheat?
Wheat keeps acting like it wants to go higher, and then we have a day like yesterday, and then we follow it up with a day like today. So it is kind of just, you could argue it's putting in a little bit of a bull flag and could be looking for some higher prices. But I don't know if the fundamentals have really changed all that much, Scott. Maybe we're just due for a technical bounce. Maybe the large short position that the funds have, maybe they could clear out a little bit more of that between now and the end of the year. But it's tough to say, really in a holiday time frame like this, it's hard to say where we'll go.
I agree. Sometimes during this time of year, we just read way too much into stuff, and a little bit too myopic looking at tick for tick, and we should just take a break, take a step back, and let it do what it needs to do. All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge. He's in Chicago. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This is where we talk about the livestock, right? You can't wear a cow jacket and not do that. Let's bring up live cattle, which I've already got loaded up because I'm just that way. And let's take a look and see what the prices got for us. Not a lot's going on. We're just either side of unchanged here. We got a Feb board that's down the most. That's 65 cents lower to 168.97. And that's about 22 cents off the low of the day. But as you go out the deferreds, you get out to August, we're up 20 cents. It can't really celebrate 20 cents, but it is a mixed board. Pretty quiet. Live cattle not doing very much in Chicago. Let's go to the feeders. Well, they're down. We got Jan down over $1.10 lower to 222.07. That's still well off the lows by about 50 cents, but still, we're 72 cents lower in March to 223.42. Finally, let's go to lean hogs. We'll get back to our guest analyst. Lean hogs, they are lower as well. Feb trades down 77 cents to 70.80, while April's off $1 to 77.57. All right, that leaves us 90 seconds to hear what Mr. Ted Seifried has to say about all this stuff. Ted, the floor is yours. Have at it.
Yeah, like you said, it's a fairly quiet day. You've got $1.50 range in live cattle. We've got a cattle on feed report at the end of the week, which I don't know how many people will see. I don't know what the market participation is going to look like for next week, especially in these typical. But we've still got live cattle, feeder cattle, and hogs all trading above key support levels. This seems like a sort of back and fill or take a breather type day. I still think we have upside potential when it comes to live cattle and feeder cattle. You have this seasonal tendency to go higher, and I think unlike grains, we will kind of follow through on that. I am optimistic that we have higher prices yet to come for the cattle complex. And then hogs, I still think we're undervalued in hogs, but the Chinese situation, the California situation, there's a lot of negativity around the hog market that it might be tough to overcome, but at least I don't think we need to go down much further.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see. You're right. You brought it up. Prop 12 starts Jan 1. We'll see what that's got to. That's going to have an impact regardless. There'll be winners and losers in California and out of California. We'll see. Appreciate you coming on, though. Have a great rest of the week. Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge. He comes to us from Chicago. I'll bring it back here to Nashville and hand it back over to Suzanne.
Now, one last time. Thank you, Scott.